What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. The road to predict all 136 FBS level college football teams this summer is back in the American, and we are in Denton, Texas, as we are talking about the North Texas Mean Green Fighting Machine. Can Eric Morris finally elevate this program above their hovering around bowl game potential? I think that can be the case. You'll find out what I think in this video. My name is Nate Bope, otherwise known as Tailgate Nate. Thank you all so much for clicking on the video, and most importantly, for your support of this channel. If you want to support the channel even further, please do go down below, hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, hey, you might as well ring the bell. Turning on notifications will ensure that you don't miss an upload during prediction season. It is almost finished, not that many videos left, and if I haven't done your favorite team yet, well, you don't want to miss it. Make sure you ring the bell. I am a sports media graduate delving into the professional world of the industry, and if you would like to see all the cool stuff I get to do while still being up to date on what goes on this very YouTube channel, please give me a follow on Twitter, Instagram. It's at TailgateNate29, and you can feel free to even email me at tailgatenate29@gmail.com. I want to thank you all so much for supporting and interacting with me, the channel, and anything else that I do in whatever way you do it. And let us now talk about the North Texas Mean Green. Eric Morris, I mentioned his name earlier. He is your head coach, and he's a head coach I actually like a lot. Now, there are some good pieces leaving this North Texas team, most notably Chandler Morris at quarterback. And this is a North Texas program that is sat right around the bowl eligibility mark. 5 to 8 wins is kind of where they've hovered around, even a couple of disappointing years where they've sat below that line as well. I think Eric Morris is a guy that can elevate this program. Will it happen this year? You're going to find out what I think. How do we do preview predictions? Well, a roster overview is in session where the offense is here on the left and the defense is here on the right. At the end of the video, we will dive on into the Mean Green football schedule. I'm going to give it a game-by-game preview and prediction, and overall, this video is here to tell all of you what I think about North Texas in 2025. Before we get started, though, below me are returning production numbers. According to ESPN, they factor in portal additions up to a certain percentage, but it's really not that high of a mark. Recruiting and transfer portal ranks are according to 24/7 Sports. They're for the class of 2025. Bam, let's kick it on over. Jordan Davis is your offensive coordinator for North Texas as we dive on into, well, saying something I said earlier in the video. Chandler Morris is gone. He's a transfer now with the Virginia Cavaliers. Listen to these numbers: 3,774 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Morris has been a little turnover happy throughout his career. He did that at TCU. He did that at North Texas as well. Again, you take a look at 2023, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions there for the TCU. And so he's been a little up and down in that way, but is a really dynamic passer. You have to circle the offense around him. Well, now the offense is going to be circled around a Miami transfer, even though he only threw 7 passes for the Canes last year. We'll go back to what he did in 2023 with the University of Albany Great Danes. 3,614 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. You want to go back to his 2022 season even. 1 yard short of a 3,000-yard season, had a better completion percentage than he did in 2023, and his touchdown to interception ratio, while not as productive, was immaculate. 24 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, and it's one of the more fun names in college football now. Reese Poffenbarger is going to figure to be back in that starting role after being behind Cam Ward last season, and I cannot wait to see what Poffenbarger provides. Another guy that can be an absolutely dynamic passing threat. That's exactly what Eric Morris likes to run, and I think we're going to get some good things coming out of this quarterback in Reese Poffenbarger. Your lead rusher as we go into the skill position room, and Shane Porter, as well as some depth, is going to get into the portal. So, Shane Porter last season, 648 yards and 5 touchdowns last year, and a ridiculous 6.7 yards per carry. Good for you, Shane Porter. You do lose some solid depth pieces, but your second leading rusher from last year, Mackenzie McGill, is going to be a guy that returns to this program. He's figured to be your lead rusher as a really young player, just a redshirt sophomore, but in 470 yards last year, that's with 78 carries. That's still 6 yards per carry, as well as 10 rushing touchdowns, a mark in which he led the team. He's in a really, really good offensive system, and I think is going to pretty seamlessly fill in the role for Shane Porter in that lead back, if not even exceed what Porter did. Now, there are some portal depth pieces that enter behind him. Okay, whatever. I think Mackenzie McGill is going to be a great force in the running back room this season. Your leading receiver in DT Sheffield has transferred out of the program. I do know that. DT Sheffield has been a really good wide receiver throughout his North Texas career, and now he is with the Big Ten's Rutgers Scarlet Knights. 822 yards and 11 touchdowns for Sheffield last season, who actually was a former Washington State transfer that really emerged last year. Again, throughout his short Mean Green career, was really good. That's another massive portal loss, and you do lose some more depth in the wide receiver room, as well as your lead tight end in Oscar Hammond. So that's going to be another really big loss for this receiver room. 238 yards and a touchdown for him last season. Again, you do lose a lot of really good depth pieces. Damon Ward is gone, second leading receiver. Blair Conright, your third leading receiver, he's going to be gone as well. So, okay, who comes back? Well, Miles Coleman is going to be a really big returner as well, and a young guy as well. That was the fourth leading receiver on the team last year. Maybe fifth. No, fourth. He was fourth. Wyatt Young is going to be coming back. Dalton Carnes had some good production. Landon Sides. A lot of truly young pieces, but you get a very good experienced guy coming over in Simeon Evans, who is transferring over from Sam Houston, where he had 559 yards and 6 touchdowns with the Bearcats, spelled with a K. I did that backwards. There you go. Last season. So that's a really good portal piece to pair with a lot of young pieces that are already really talented. And even though you switch over from Chandler Morris, a guy I've always liked throughout my college football fandom, into Reese Poffenbarger, and you're trying to figure out, oh, by the way, tight end room, going to be a little bit of a mystery, but a young piece in Brandon Young slots into the presumptive starting role, but you have a lot of transfers like Connor Vaughn and Trey Williams that'll vie for that spot as well. So you throw the tight ends in there. Guys, I think you still got some really good talent for Reese Poffenbarger to work with, and I still think overall, this is going to be a run game that is going to be used for its efficiency. I think you got a lot of good pieces here to do it, and a pass game that is going to lead the charge offensively yet again. It's also the system that Eric Moritz much prefers. Jordan Davis does it as well, and I think it suits North Texas really well, and I think it suits this roster pretty well to go along with that. You do have a lot of offensive line turnover, however, though. There's starters leaving left, right, and center. There are transfers getting out of the program, but a good portal haul is going to be coming in. Jimto Obedegwu is going to be a transfer over from Kent State. One of the bright spots on a Golden Flashes team that was not that great last season. Ugana Nana is going to be transferring in as well. He is from Virginia. Those two guys probably going to slide. Well, actually, I lied. Obedegwu is going to slide into the left tackle position. I had misread that Nana was going to slide into the right tackle position, so I was going to say they're on the two outsides. Nope, Nana is in the right guard position on the interior. And you still have some, again, good portal depth behind, but some really good experienced returners. Gabe Blair is going to try to battle out for that center spot. He's a redshirt senior and a really nice experienced piece. So there you go. There's your offense. I just told you I think everything is really suited well for this program. So we'll move on quickly to the defense, and Skylar Cassidy is your defensive coordinator. Look, the offense may not be explosive as it was last season. It still very well could be, but putting up 480 some yards per game again, I think is going to be a little bit of a tall ask, because I think you did lose some really nice pieces from last season that I just don't know if you're going to be able to make up for it. Asking Poffenbarger to do what Morris did last year is hard, but it's definitely in the realm of possibility. So again, that's a very big may caveat, because it definitely could still be one of the better offenses in the American, but the defense was horrid last year. Over 450 yards per game allowed. Portal pieces are everywhere throughout this defense, because that is what needs to get better for this North Texas team this season. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If this defense can even improve to 425 yards per game, as well as the offense putting up I'm not going to say the exact same numbers. There'll probably be a little drop off just because it's hard to duplicate that type of performance. But even close to the same numbers, you're looking at a North Texas team that easily could surprise the American this year. So let's take a look at the talent. Well, it's already not off to a great start because 3 of your 4 sack leaders on the defensive front are going to be gone. They exit the program. However, that returner that comes back is a really, really good one. And his name I will butcher. It's Fatafehi Vilea. I know I butchered that name. I probably got close, but apologies for that. Is again a great return to this program. You take a look at what he did last season: 34 tackles, 2.5 sacks. So out of the names that do leave this defensive front, he was tied right there with a guy by the name of Terrell Dawkins with the 2.5 sacks. There are 2 guys that leave with 4.5 sacks. They are named Roderick Brown and Braylon Charles, 2 really good pieces for the D-line last year. So, okay, you get the Vilea coming back. Transfers are pretty much going to surround him, at least in the starting role. Ethan Day is going to slot into the edge, as well as Bryceon Hayes. Those are 2 portal pieces. And on the interior with Vilea is going to be a Sam Houston transfer in Richard Outland, who had 3 sacks last year. So, okay, you got some good sack production. Ethan Day transferring in is over from Wyoming. I think he's a really high upside piece. And then out of Sam Houston, Bryceon Hayes. A lot of Sam Houston transfers on this team, by the way. 5 sacks for him last year. So, hey, there you go. Not to worry. You got some of that sack production coming back. I think you did really well in the transfer portal. Your top 2 linebackers, however, will not be Mean or Green this season as they have exited the program. That's going to be the likes of your leading tackler in Jalen Smith, 106 tackles, along with a couple pass defended and a pick last year. And then Jordan Brown is gone as well, 78 tackles as the 3rd leading tackler on the team last season. So, okay, well, who do you have coming back? I told you there's some solid return. Ethan Weslowski will be back, 2.5 sacks for him. You do get 57 tackles last year, as well as a pass defended. I should also mention another name that does leave this linebacking unit. Chavez Brown has transferred over to South Florida. He led the way with I should say led the linebacking core with 4 sacks last year. So overall was that 2nd place on the team. So Weslowski coming back is not a bad return to your linebacker room, but more transfers again, much like the defensive front. Trey Fields, oh man, I think they got a really good pickup here in the portal, again from Sam Houston. Sam Houston transfers everywhere, especially defensively. 80 tackles for Trey Fields last year. Shane Witter does come back, as well as some other pieces, a lot younger depth. But I think what you have starting in the linebacking room is going to be really good for this program. And let's face the music in the defensive secondary. Many defensive back starters are gone. In fact, most of them. However, you do get Evan Jackson coming back to this team as a safety, 59 tackles and 3 interceptions last year. Some of the more notable losses: Brian Nelson, a corner, did have 4 interceptions last season. You also do lose Ridge Tejada, who is going to be gone, led the team with 7 passes defended last season. But again, Evan Jackson, the lone really good returning starting piece, and much like the linebacker and defensive line room, you're going to get a lot of transfers in to surround him. David Fisher and Devon Armstead are going to be your corners this year. DJ Warnell is going to slot in with him to be that safety pairing again with Jackson. And then Will Jones set to play nickel. All 4 of those guys I just mentioned are all transfers. Depth going to be really young with a lot of sophomores, redshirt sophomores that return to the program. But what you have up front is pretty nice. Special teams room is going to remain a constant, as both your kicker, your punter, they are both going to be coming back this season because, hey, kickers and punters, they are people too. We need to show them some love. So overall, you look at this North Texas team. Guys, I'm telling you right now, this definitely is an offense that, while it lost a lot of pieces, and a lot of pieces that I like, quite frankly, I do think Mackenzie McGill might be a little upgrade at the running back room, but I really liked Chandler Morris. I really liked DT Sheffield, and I really liked Oscar Hammond there as well. So you are losing some pieces, but I still think the offense is very well equipped. Defensively, I mean, you just need to show improvement in any way possible. I think what you got coming in from the transfer portal is going to help you quite a bit, but it's, again, how well those transfers mesh and how well everything else fits in. All right, it's now time to take a look at the North Texas 2025 football schedule. But before we dive on into predicting it, some numbers down below, courtesy of FanDuel. Not me telling you to go place your money because I am no betting expert and you should do what you want with your money. It just provides some good context to see how good the odds makers think North Texas is going to be this year. Again, hovering right around that 6-7 win mark, just like this program usually is. And there are a lot of pitfalls on the schedule, so the number makes sense. Plus 5,500 odds to get to the playoff. Well, you probably have to win the American first and go through a lot of really tough teams on this slate, as well as even non-con teams. Plus 1,700 odds to win the conference, though. Hey, that's a pretty good mark right there for this team. It definitely, I think, sits them in the top half. If not, then they're 8th, but I think they're definitely in the top half. All right, we can start diving on into predicting this schedule now. It should be a pretty easy one to kick off the season against Lamar. I don't think too many people are going to have qualms about that prediction. Maybe the fans that root for Lamar. I digress. On the road against Western Michigan. Now, out of all the directional Michigan schools that are in the Mid-American Conference, Western Michigan to me is the most dangerous one. I think they're the most talented out of the three. And even if you look overall at the Mid-American Conference, I think they can be one of the more talented teams and prove to surprise. Now, their schedule works against them a little bit, but I think this is going to be a great back and forth game. However, I think the pieces, even though you're replacing a lot, the pieces that are here with North Texas are going to slot into the system so well that I mean, maybe saying it's going to seem like you're not really losing that much is not a very accurate statement. But I definitely do believe that this is a North Texas team that's going to honestly play pretty well with the pieces that it has really early. And I think a lot of the offense is going to get enveloped in that system. Now, defensively, I have some questions on how you're going to defend Western Michigan, but I also have questions about Brock Lowry. So to me, they kind of cancel out. So I'll go with what I know. It's that I think this North Texas offense is going to be really dynamic. I think it's in a great system. And the Western Michigan defense, I think it's got to make a lot of improvements and force some big turnovers to win this game. I think North Texas is going to go on the road in Kalamazoo and get that one done. I think that's going to be a very good game. And while it's not a G5 game that's going to be on a lot of people's radar, I'll be very excited to keep an eye on that one. Washington State is here Saturday, September 3rd in week 3, and I do think this is going to be a loss for North Texas. I think they pick up their first loss at home here to the Cougars. Now, I know Washington State lost just about everybody. John Mateer, quarterback, is gone. Your head coach has now taken the job at Wake Forest and Jake Dickert. Okay, if Zevi Eckhouse can be what he was at Bryant, I think you got some really good pieces offensively, especially portal pieces that are coming in after all that you lost. And I definitely think Jimmy Rogers, coming over from South Dakota State, is a really freaking good head coach, and I think he'll be that here at the FBS level as well. So Washington State, to me, is a loss, even though North Texas battles. Again, this North Texas team is going to fight. They're going to be scrappy. They're going to do some of the little things right, especially offensively, but they will not be beating Washington State. And I don't think they beat Army. Army is an interesting case study this year, though, too, because you take a look at Army and you can definitely make the case on why they have a massive fallback this year. No more Bryson Daly, no more Kanye Uno, no more Elo Madozi defensively. You lost your big 3 pieces that made you quite the force last year. Now, I still think Army's going to be really good. They got some good pieces coming back, and I think the quarterback position still going to be a solid one at that. But this is an Army team that's going to play some really good defense, and I don't think North Texas is well equipped, at least this early, to be able to handle what Army throws at you offensively. This game here against South Alabama, I also was going back and forth about this one, but you take a look at the Western Michigan game and South Alabama game. I think no matter what way you slice it, North Texas splits splits the two of them. So they win one, lose one. And just the way I have the schedule working out, I think they lose the home game and win the road game, because I also think that there's some really talented pieces within this South Alabama team. Now, they did lose Gio Lopez at quarterback. They did lose some really good defensive pieces, but I think they are very well coached by Major Applewhite. I think Zach Pyron is going to be pretty solid as a starting quarterback. I think Kentrell Bullock is one of the best running backs in the Sun Belt Conference. Devin Voisin, if he can get back to what he can do at his peak, I mean, you got a really dangerous wide receiver out there. And defensively, transfers are really, really good, especially in the secondary with Anthony Brown, Dallas Young, and Javon Henderson. And so I think they're going to be able to slow down this passing attack just enough to get the passing attack of their own going, and the ground game could be dangerous for South Alabama, which is where I ultimately see North Texas following in this one. And even after the bye week, I think the losing streak continues. You got a home game against South Florida. All right, cool. You get it at home. I still don't think you're going to be able to win it. I think South Florida is really talented. Now, the schedule works against them early, but that just means they're going to be battle tested. I think Byron Brown is one of the best G5 quarterbacks that we have in the country. I think South Florida is really going to kick it up a notch defensively this year. And I think Alex Golesh has this team trending in a perfect direction. South Florida is going to compete for an American Athletic Championship game, at least compete for a spot in one, and that's going to be a loss for North Texas. So, okay, you're now on a 4-game losing streak, and not a very easy opponent is coming up next in UTSA. Well, what did North Texas do the year the UTSA was looking to go undefeated? North Texas ended that run. I do think this is the North Texas team that sort of has their in-state counterparts number a little bit, and I do think this is the North Texas team that overall can compete with UTSA on top of the fact they get this one at home. It is their third straight home game, and I think they finally get one done here. I do think they beat UTSA. Now, UTSA, I think, is going to have a bounce back season from where they were last year. They were 6-6 last year, and expectations are much higher when Jeff Traylor is your head coach. If Takorian Clark comes back, they have a dangerous wide receiver piece and a quarterback in Owen McCown that I think is going to take the next step this year. Defense has got a lot of good pieces. I think UTSA is going to be solid, but North Texas is good enough to battle and win games of this nature. And I think they do it here, and they beat UTSA. Easy win coming up next against Charlotte, so you're back to 500. Not been impressed with Biff Poggi and his 49ers. Charlotte loses to North Texas. You do have a really tricky one right here, though, when you have to play Navy, and I think you lose this one against Navy because I think Navy, outside of maybe James Madison, is the best competitor to Boise State to be that group of 5 representative. I love Blake Horvath at quarterback. They have a ton of rushing production back, and defensively, maybe they won't be as stout as Army, but I think they're going to see some good improvement from last year, especially though Blake Horvath. I mean, I just think that offense is going to be really hard to game plan for and really hard to slow down. And that's why I think North Texas loses this one with all the questions they have defensively. On the road against UAB, it is no secret that much like Biff Poggi at Charlotte, I am not a big fan of Trent Dilfer at UAB. I never have been. I never thought it would work out, and it is proving true. Albeit, this is still a UAB team that has got some solid pieces, right? And it is still a team that I can see being pretty competitive, and North Texas being the team that hovers right around the margin where they do. I definitely think UAB is a team that you're going to end up seeing them pull out a win that maybe they quote-unquote shouldn't. And I think this one here, pretty prime example of that is North Texas loses that road game. However, I do think they went out from here. They play the 2 Owls up next. You have on the road at Rice and Temple. Well, Rice no longer has E.J. Warner, so there is no E.J. Warner here present with this program. He was a very massive piece for them at quarterback. There also is no Dean Connors. He is transferred in city to go to the Power 4 school in Houston. So definitely in looking at what is going on within this Rice program. There's a lot of overturn, a lot of pieces that are going to be gone, but I do overall like what Rice, some of the pieces they have coming back. It was a struggle for them last year, and I think they lost some really good talent. I just don't think it's going to be that great of a season for them this year. Same thing with Temple. I mean, they did lose some really, really good pieces. Now, albeit the transfer portal class looks good, and overall, I could see Temple making a nice improvement this year. However, when you talk about this Temple Owls team, you have to factor in, look, new head coach this year, they're going to be getting Casey Keeler. Look at what he just did at Sam Houston. Even though I do not think this year is going to be that great for Temple, the way that Casey Keeler builds programs, I'd watch out for Temple in the coming years. I think Casey Keeler is a great guy for the job, and I think he's going to do good things with the Temple Owls. So all of that being said, we've run through, we've predicted it. You see the record. I mean, 6-6 is exactly where I have this team hovering around. I think this team goes 6-6. They're 4-4 in conference, perfectly at 500. But the ceiling for this team is much higher. I think you're eventually going to see a point where Eric Morris is really going to elevate this program. Whether that is the likes of, hey, look, maybe they do beat Washington State and Jimmy Rogers just need some time system envelops, maybe they do beat South Florida, maybe they do beat South Alabama, maybe they don't have this weird loss on the road to UAB. I mean, Army could not be as good. I think there are a ton of winnable games for North Texas. I think their offensive system is going to look great. To me, though, the big point of contention is I think a lot of these offenses that are going to be tough to game plan for, even this one against UTSA, could be a little bothersome based off the offensive talent that they have. The defense needs those portal pieces to fit. Now, if the portal pieces fit and they fit in well, I think you're probably going to see North Texas finish with 7 or 8 wins this year. I do really believe in the talent that is on this team, and I especially believe in Eric Morris. But that's all from this video. Let me know what you think about the Mean Green in the comment section below, and remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you all in the next video. Goodbye.